Hello and welcome to another video. Now in this video I'm going to be showing you my exact campaign structure and my method for testing ad creatives. Now as you can see here, I'm currently in one of my clients' ad accounts, and as you can see here I've got two different campaigns, right? So one is for testing, and I'll show you the layout of that in just a second, and then one is the scaling campaign, okay? And we're going to kind of build it together. But essentially my method of testing creatives on a low budget very early on just gives us the indication of, okay, what kind of angle works best? What kind of creative works best? Is it video? Is it static? And so on and so forth, right? It just allows us to test on a lower budget more efficiently. So what you want to do is come over to the create and you want to go to engagement, right? The reason why we're not optimizing for leads at this stage is because we're just testing, right? The scaling campaign is optimized for leads, okay? Now, if we go into our campaign, as you can see here, I've literally just set it up, changed the name, right? So engagement, right? We want our budget to be at the ad set, right? The reason why we want to do this is because rather than setting a campaign budget and allowing Facebook to determine a winner, we want to give each creative a fair chance at proving their worth, if that makes sense. So what we essentially do is, after you've selected ad set budget, make sure you untick this, right? Because then if you leave this ticked on, it won't be a fair test, if that makes sense, right? Because Facebook will still determine a winner. So make sure you turn that off. Now, if you go to the ad set level, and I'll just rename this ad set 1. Now, as you can see here, automatic destination, Facebook page, yeah, automatic destination. Okay, yeah, okay. What we'll do is we will change this to get people to engage with your website. Now, you can choose whichever conversion location you want, right? If you want more messages or you want more people to interact with your post, or your Facebook and Instagram pages or your app calls, whatever, choose your use case, right? The reason why I'm going with website is because, yes, we are testing the creatives on a lower budget, but if we can get any leads in this phase, happy days. Do you know what I mean? So we also need to create a data set, which I will do shortly. It's just, I might leave this till last or after the video. If you do want me to make a video on how to do this, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'm just going to skim past this because it's pretty straightforward. You just press this button, you create a data set, Bob's your uncle, right? Now, you don't necessarily have to worry about a cost per result goal. You can do this when you're working with a slightly larger budget and you have some data there, but you never really want to include this on day one, right? Because you have, I mean, if your ad account already has data and you can already see your current cost per lead, your current cost per acquisition, all of these metrics, then of course you can come in here and type in, I want a cost per lead at 20, 30 pounds, whatever the case may be, and Facebook will aim to spend, Facebook will aim, if it doesn't think it can find a lead for, let's say, £20, it won't spend £20, right? So it can actually save you a little bit of money over the long term. It's really good if you do have, you know, quite a high cost per lead and you find that some days it's drastically lower. It's because Facebook goes through that period of sometimes a week is really good and then next week will be slightly less volume. So over the long term, it will kind of even it out a little bit more effectively and save you a little bit of money if that's a concern for you. Some people like it, some people don't. Now, we don't have to worry about this. Same with this, we don't have to worry about that. Now, daily budget, I'm going to set this at, so for testing, I normally like to test for at least a week and a half or something like that. So we're going to see if we can spend just £1 per ad set, because, yeah, don't worry about that. This is just for testing. You might not see too many leads coming in. The purpose of this is not to generate leads. The purpose of this is to determine which ad creative is performing the best, right? In terms of click-through rate, link clicks, cost per click, things like that, right? It's not necessarily to get a lead through the door. If you do, happy days, right? But doing this will just allow you to know what kind of marketing angle will be best for your use case and what your audience resonates with the most. Okay, so the start date, I'm going to set this for Monday at midnight. The reason being, I'm aiming to get this campaign live by Monday. And the reason why we set it, always set it at midnight, is because if you set it at, let's say, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Facebook will now spend your whole budget from 1 o'clock till midnight, right? So you're basically spunking money up the wall, right? If you set it at midnight, it has a whole 24 hours to spend your budget evenly. That's why we do that. Now, budget scheduling, again, don't have to worry about that for the time being, especially if you're new. I wouldn't mess around with these settings in here, simply because you do not have the data behind you to make those decisions, right? You don't have enough data to make those informed decisions, shall I say. Now, my client lives in Birmingham. I don't even know how you spell Birmingham. Birmingham. In the United States. In the UK, obviously. Now we will do, let's say, 20 miles. Encompasses pretty much the whole of Birmingham. Really nice audience size here, really good. Again, do not have to necessarily worry about any of this. Again, if you do have some sort of guidelines that you have to be within, then obviously if you don't want it to show on Facebook feed, then you can choose that, but I wouldn't recommend it because you'll get lower results, right? And obviously your CPM will go up because it's not being shown in as many placements, so on and so forth, right? Now, another thing to make sure to do always is just to confirm everything that you're inputting, right? We will go over this again, but it's always just a good thing to get into the habit of when doing campaigns. Now, this will be ad 1, and then in here I'm going to put either the hook of the video or the angle of the creative, right? Just so that I can better find this in the overview, right? When we come out of this and we just are having a look at the data, I can quickly and easily see, okay, this type of hook is working, or this type of static creative is working the best. Now, obviously select your Facebook and Instagram profiles, create an ad, obviously manual upload, single image or video, or you could do a carousel. If you're, for example, this client is a landscaper, right? So for carousel, you might want photos during the project process. So like the before, the during, the after, right? That'd be a good use case for a carousel. You can use single image or video. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, multi-advertiser ads, I typically like to leave this on. You can turn it off. Essentially, all this means is, most of you probably have seen these regardless, but it's when 4 ads are shown in a bit of a grid on your Reels or on your Facebook, and then you can kind of press on whatever ad piques your interest, right? The reason why I like to leave this on is because there's no harm in that, right? It's just one more place where someone might show an interest in your work, right? That's my thought behind it. But then again, you do not have any control over what other ads are being shown with your ad. So if you have a relatively, I'm not too sure, but like a environmentally conscious brand, right? And you don't necessarily want it to be shown with, I don't know, an ad for a car or something like that, right? That's where you have to make that decision. But for a landscaper, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be shown with other landscaping ads or different ads that are not necessarily going to harm the brand, harm my client's brand, should I say. Now, the website, this is where I'm going to put in the landing page that we are creating for my clients, right? And the display link is quite literally enter the link you want to show on your ad, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. And another thing that I've found works fairly decently, Again, it depends if you want it. But another thing that I've found works quite nicely is adding a call or adding a WhatsApp button to the browser as a bit of an add-on, if you will, right? Because while some people will fill out the form, some people may get distracted or may think, oh, I'll get back to this later, right? Whereas if there's a WhatsApp button, they can just see that and be like, okay, I'll just send him a quick message. At least then he'll get back in contact with me. It's a bit quicker. But then do you want that lower intent person coming in through your funnel? Again, this is where your decision has to come into play, right? And then obviously setting up a creative image or video ad, you just click on this, it brings up your files or your accounts images or videos that you've already uploaded organically, okay? And that is pretty much it, right? That is pretty much it for the layout. Now, what you want to do for testing campaigns is you want to have one ad per ad set. So once you have completed all of the settings and all of the different things in here, right, I'm just going to go back to the ad set level and make sure that everything is good. Let's have a little look with here. Let's just have a little look. Okay, yeah, that looks fine with me. Yeah, looks okay. Looks okay. So what you want to come and do is duplicate this ad set, right? And I'm going to duplicate it 4 more times because in total I'm going to be having 5 creatives being tested at any one time. So we're going to press duplicate. And as you can see here, it has gone and done the duplication. So if you just want to come in here and say, you know, this is ad set 1, this is ad set 2. Again, you can name these differently. To be fair, with testing campaigns, I normally like to just number them because the ad is where I'm going to be including the hook or the angle of our marketing, right? So you don't necessarily want to have ad set, hook variation, and then have the ad be the same thing, right? I mean, you can do, there's not much difference, but that's how I would do it. Now, when we go through all of these, you'll see everything has been taken from our original ad set, which I think was this one. So all of the rules and everything will be the same, as you can see here. £1 a day for January 19th. Is that correct? Oh, it's actually the 12th. Sorry, I forgot what day we were on. But let's change that to 12. Bit annoying, but essentially just go back through. This is why we have a look again, right? Before I launch anything ever, I always look through everything again, just to ensure that we are, you know, getting everything right. And yeah, that is pretty much it for the testing side of things. So essentially, what you want to do is, I would just start with one ad per ad set, and then when you find a winning ad, right? Let's say it's, you know, are you tired of your garden, right? For an example, hook, right? And let's say that one's winning by a mile, right? I would double down and make more ad creatives and just put it in the ad set of which hook it is, right? So to be fair, that is a good use case for putting the hook in the ad set name as well, right? To be fair, now thinking about it. Just so you can come back in here and say, okay, this ad set is performing the best out of all of them. Let me make more ad variations of that hook and see how they perform. So put them in the same ad set, right? And then you'll probably have a loser out of one of these. You can turn that off, or you can test differently. I would normally have a testing period of about a week. Do not make any changes during that week. Once you have a week's worth of data, look at the data and see, okay, ad set 3, 4, and 5 are working best. Ad set 1 and 2 are not performing at all. Let me cut ad set 1 because that's the worst one. But let me try a different image on ad set 2. Or let me try a different font style or something like that. Some little variation, okay? But for ad set 3, 4, and 5, if they're working incredibly well, I would double down on those ad creatives and just say, okay, brilliant. This is what I'm going to try and do next, right? And then when you have a winner from week 1, you can come into the scaling campaign, right? And this is where you'll put all of your winners, okay? If I don't know why it's showing me all that. This is where we optimize for leads. And this is where your daily budget will come into play, right? So this is be like 10, put in your daily budget, right? So this would be like £10, and then only have one ad set for this campaign, okay? Because these are your winners. You already have evidence that these work. So what you want to do is just have one ad set and then all of your winning ads in here, okay? Because you already have proof of concept that they work, if that makes sense. So that is that for this video. If you do have any questions, please do let me know. I will keep you updated on how this goes, and I'll actually share some of the results that we see come Monday, after a week Monday, if that makes sense. So let me know if you want to see anything else. I know this was a bit of a short one, a bit of a rambly one, but if you have found it useful, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And of course, as always, any questions, leave them in the comments. I will answer them all. But until then, I'm here for the long run, so stick around, and I'll see you in the next one.